What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we are going to be doing a Rams 7-round mock draft. So if you guys like the draft, if you guys like the Rams, hit the like, comment, subscribe button. Of course, hit the notification bell because I make this content every single day. So, of course, you don't want to miss out on that. And we're going to be updating this after free agency as well. So stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's kick this off. Let's first look at the roster. I've already analyzed everybody on PFF, so getting a little bit better with being able to make sure I know every little thing because not all of us can watch every snap. That's also why I like you guys to comment to me to make sure that I didn't slip up because you guys are the super fans of all your teams. So let's just start off with the wide receivers here. I think you're set. There's a lot of really good developmental players here. I was like, wait a second, hold on. Odell Beckham Jr. is on the roster. Yeah, so I think you guys are looking perfectly fine here. If you look at it, you have a ton of talent signed for longer term deals on their contracts. So that's very good. Very good indeed, because there are a lot of youthful players as well. I was a huge fan of Ben Skoranek, funnily enough. I thought that he was probably worth a fourth or a fifth. Has not been playing to the level that probably you'd want for a starting caliber receiver, but definitely somebody where when he is your sixth or seventh wide receiver on your roster, he's definitely worth it. So very happy to see that Ben Skoranek at least made a roster and is sticking to it, especially a roster of this caliber. So quarterback, we don't even need to talk about it. Matt Stafford, he's a G. But tight end wise, you also have a good set of tight ends here to have for quite a few years. So very happy to see that. You know, Bryson Hopkins, pretty solid. And then Jacob Harris here, a wide receiver tight end hybrid. So you pretty much have three tight ends on your roster that are all young enough to be impactful. They haven't hit their peaks exactly. Tyler Higbee might be at the top of his curve, but I mean, you're having guys being able to be young as well and develop, as well as guys who are able to be day one impacts. And that's exactly what you need to be a successful franchise when you don't have a ton of picks, which is why I'm going to be diving a little bit deeper on this one. Let's check out the running backs really quick. Sonny Michel, he's done an all right job. I think Darrell Henderson has a legit shot of legitimately being a number one running back on this team. Cam Akers cannot deny how damn good he is as well. You know, Sonny Michel was a solid pickup to remain relevant. And now that Cam Akers is back, all good, all good, all good. So I think this is a pretty solid running back core. I would consider taking somebody maybe later in the draft, but nothing that would be an actual valuable pick. I think we have like 3 6-rounders or something crazy like that. That is where it might get a little bit annoying and we might want to draft the best player available. Looking at the offensive line, you got like guys like Bobby Evans, played like 20 snaps this year, right? But Joseph Noteboom, he honestly hasn't been that terrible. Larry Jackson, not horrible either, but you know, these are guys who are, again, young enough to make it to develop and also have an impact. Unfortunately, Noteboom's up for a contract. I would love to see how much he'd want if it were more than his rookie contract. And I'm surprised to see, I would be surprised if he got more than $1 million a year from another team. I don't think he is of that caliber to be getting a lot more than just rotational developmental money, but we'll see. We'll see. I think maybe a 1 or 2 year contract that he could sit here behind. Of course, where's he at? Where's Andrew at? There he is. Andrew Whitworth, who's an absolute beast, would be the best thing. He's been playing at a very high level. Same thing with Havenstein this year. So cheers to both of them, both on contract until next year. But we definitely should not be trying to hold off until next year to get a succession plan. If the value is right, we will take Whitworth's successor. So I definitely like the outlook of that. Guard wise, Corbett's up for a contract, and he and David Edwards have been playing actually pretty damn well. Unfortunately, we can play around with the idea of whether we should bring Corbett back. I think we should. I do. I know since he's been playing at a very consistent level, nothing spectacular. I think it's high 60s, low 70s in terms of PFF grade. I think it's fine. I think it's worth bringing back, and that might be really good leverage to have him be able to sign a cheaper deal, right? So being able to get that will be a big plus, but that's very solid overall. Center-wise, Brian Allen, if I'm not mistaken, has been doing a pretty damn good job as well. He's up for a contract, so maybe getting a center wouldn't be too shabby either. So definitely on the offensive side, I'm focusing on those tackle positions. I'm definitely focusing on a guard or a center. And then maybe a running back as a luxury pick later on. Let's check out the defense here. So safety wise, Taylor Rapp, he's been playing pretty well this year, pretty well overall. I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for Jordan Fuller, Terrell Burgess. You have a good young safety core here. Definitely like what I'm seeing right now. They have a lot to continue developing into. So good for them, honestly, good for them. Then we can look over at the corner core. Jalen Ramsey, he's Jalen Ramsey, for fuck's sake. The guy's a beast. But Darius Williams has been playing pretty well. He's up for a contract. He's on a 1-year, almost $5 million deal. A little bit concerned about what's going to happen if you don't get a corner two. So that might be my number one priority in this draft. If it weren't for the linebackers, but we'll get to that in just a second. David Long hasn't been playing too hot. Robert Rochelle, I mean, the guy's thrown into the fire, came from Central Arkansas and is now starting up against guys in the NFC West, right? So, and then Dante Dion, he's been doing okay, but he's up for a contract too. So definitely something to work with here. We have to go after that corner spot, but the linebackers are the biggest issue because Kenny Young was traded to the Broncos, right? He's on the Broncos roster now. So we have Ernest Jones. He played actually pretty well during the year, not great against the run. Well, that's putting it very lightly. He's pretty solid overall, except for in the run game. Half of his job, maybe even more. But as a 22-year-old developmental linebacker, I think that's definitely a good spot to begin. But I think we definitely need something more because Troy Reader, A, he's up for a contract. B, he sucked toes this year. He was terrible. I've never used that phrase before, but we got to keep it a little bit PG here. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this linebacking core at all. Outside linebackers are used as pass rushers. You got Leonard Floyd here, got that big money, bit of an overpay in my eyes. I think everybody else is too, but definitely somebody who, when paired with Aaron Donald, could be producing like a person who should be making 16 mil a year. We got Von Miller here, and obviously we traded some of our last remaining picks in the first 2 days just to get Von Miller. I think it might have been, I'm bugging. I think it might have been a second round pick, and then we might have sent like a third. Not sure on the trade details exactly, but certainly a guy who's starting to step back into his role has like a 90 coverage grade. I'm like, the hell is all that about? But I mean, it's something that you're adding to a roster to make sure that you have the juice to be able to go to the Super Bowl. You have the veteran presence to go to the Super Bowl. Terrell Lewis not doing too hot, but again, he's a young player with a bunch of other guys. Speaking of another guy, Ogbanya Okoronkwo, this guy's been playing really well, like really well. Pretty sure he has like 15 or 20 pressures on the year, and he's just been playing very well all around. That's a good sign. You know, very good player, but he's on a 4-year deal that's ending now. That's going to be something where I really hope they can re-sign him. I do. And I hope that he doesn't know how good he is, just so the Rams can be able to maximize their roster with the money they have, because there's some pretty big ass contracts on this. So definitely that's a big part of the pass rush. It's why we will not see a defensive end really on here, is because most of these dudes are interior defensive linemen with your outside linebackers rushing. But Chris Garrett, I don't even know who the hell that is. But looking at the interior defensive linemen, you know, you got the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Donald, obviously arguably the best defensive player in history. You know, just over time, he's just not stopped being the most dominant guy in the NFL. You know, just, it's really weird to say it, but this guy is probably going to be continuing dominating for the next 8 to 10 years. And that's insane from his position, because this guy is an absolute stud. So his $22.5 million a year is definitely not enough to just quantify how damn good he is, but certainly happy with that. Ashawn Robinson, he's going to be coming up to a contract next year, but definitely somebody good to have on hand. Same thing with Bobby Brown. I mean, this guy, I don't know why he came out for one, but he's definitely a very good interior defensive lineman, and he's 21 years of age. That's great. To grow him under Aaron Donald, he's under contract until the same time Donald is. That's perfect. Great gains here. I mean, he was just I'm pretty sure he was a Washington interior defensive lineman. It's been pretty serviceable, but Sebastian Joseph Day, also coming up on a contract this year. Not going to be someone who I'd want to re-sign at all. But that is going to be the roster, guys. Let's go into this draft. And of course, with all those late round picks, it's going to be probably the same length as all these other videos. But let's kick into it. Let's have a good time. Of course, as you guys know, it is a no trade situation because one, the trades sometimes aren't very realistic, but two, they're hyper complicated. So I don't want to take a trade and just totally screw everything up because of the fact that, well, ask me for a fourth this year and a second next year to move up into the third round, right? Like it's just no, because it just doesn't feel right. And it just makes things way too complicated. It's much more easy to say, hey, this is where we're drafting. This is what we're going to do. These are the guys who are available, because I don't want to force being able to get a guy, because the randomness is the fun part of it. Like being able to see where the guys fall is the fun part of this. So we have a long ways to go. Feel free to join me in drinking some water here, because talking ain't always easy. Shout out to Costco for being able to charge like half of Smart Water's price for something that tastes better than Smart Water. But something I don't like about TDN is this idea that they just keep dudes in here like Tyke Smith to say they're returning. It's like, really? It's like, come on, man. They did such a good job like getting back up to speed after being totally terrible as an organization for a while. Just, I mean, look at that. That was a 5th round pick to move up 20 something spots. That's not realistic. But I mean, they were just absolutely terrible on making sure that their site was professional and up to date. And I'm very happy to say that they have been able to finally get their like mock draft board, or like their big board situation figured out. By that time, I already built a full big board myself that is a lot better than theirs, but we'll leave it alone for the time being. At 101, let's see who's on the board before we start talking about who we should take, because I see Jackson Kirkland and I start smiling, because this is a guy who could definitely use 1 full year of development. And it's a guy who was being put in the top 10 of drafts at the start of the year. And this is also somebody who can play guard. So I'm pretty much telegraphing exactly what I'm doing here. Guys like Jack Campbell could certainly be a good linebacker. I don't think he fits with what this roster is rocking with. You could, of course, go somebody on the edge who's developmental. Don't think that that's exactly the right move here. I'm going to be going with it. I'm probably going to be going Jackson Kirkland here. Again, just trying to make sure that we do the right pick. But Jackson Kirkland didn't even get a Senior Bowl invite, man. Okay, he's not that terrible. I have him as a 4th rounder. He might be like even a 5th, but on a roster where you can sit for a year or play guard, he is certainly worth this pick. You know, definitely somebody who is hyper athletic. He's a bit light, but again, NFL training programs can get you back. You get your ass in shape. So there's just a lot to like about what he offers compared to the rest of this roster. Kellen Dice is the other guy who I'd talk about here. You know, these Pac-12 tackles are the ones that the scouts are seeing the most. Again, just makes a little more sense. They're exposed to them. I'm praying to God Kobe Bryant could fall to this pick. Come on. Don't screw me over. Do not screw me over. Holly freaking Luya. I kind of forgot about that corner 2 situation, and we're taking the guy who got the best DB in college football. So Kobe Bryant goes here. He's been taken quite a few times in these mocks, but again, I try to vary it up from time to time. Just when there's the value of that, I'm going to take, I mean, again, every single draft's original on its own. Also, TDN shifts off their board all the time anyways. So I'm not really worried about them kind of like keeping the board the same and I get the same guy at the same spot every single time. Eventually, I'll upload my big board into here. It's just not very fun for me to do it on here because, well, I spent so much time on building my own that looks a hell of a lot better. And it makes so much more sense the way I built it. And it's always changing. So looking at this spot, I would definitely look at Boye Mafe here, but I literally just took him for the 49ers. So oof. But looking at guys at this spot, I'm not going to go Jarrett Patterson, also another guy drafted for the 49ers, but that's a perfect guy to target here, right? Definitely somebody who I'd be intrigued with. Let's think about where else we should look. Linebacker is certainly something I would want to go after. You got Micah McFadden here, who's actually really good on the blitz and in coverage. So personally, I think I'm going to go Micah. I think it's the right move as well. He feels a little more like a Ram than Jack Campbell. Like, I don't know why. It's just an intangible thing. It just feels like it. Micah McFadden out of Indiana. I don't know why he's getting hated on, actually. Pretty damn good. as a linebacker. And it's a little bit baffling to me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with these next couple of picks, because honestly, I have no idea who's going to be there. So that's the fun part of this. I do it all live. I mean, I'm here right now with you guys watching all this stuff. So we're experiencing this together. Eric Ezukanma out of Texas Tech, he's actually a really talented wide receiver. But I know some people who think he's a god. Don't know why, but he's definitely somebody to keep in mind. Looking at, like, okay, so here's our 3 picks straight. I think that they haven't updated this. TDN, I give them credit, but I also just gotta say they do some lazy stuff as well. Personally, running back probably should be one of these picks, and there are some really good guys here. So I want to go after someone like even Brian Robinson has been proven to be a very solid impact running back. And that's something that honestly wouldn't be too shabby for this team. Someone who I also haven't ever drafted is somebody like Brian Robinson. Also, I got to give a shout out to Ty Chandler. He's a bit older and like a worse version of Eric Gray, but still very solid as a scat back. Let's scout out what we're going to be doing with these next 3 picks, right? So edge-wise, who's on the board? Michael Clemens would be fun to add to this roster. He's 270 pounds, but he's hyper athletic. And honestly, that's going to be the first guy I take. I like Michael Clemens a lot. You can talk about Xavier Thomas as a superior athlete, sure, but I think Michael Clemens at least has the production to back it up. So number 212, let's see what we're going to do in the next few picks. So I think the best thing to do is to go best player available. And I might actually just go back to, I think we're going to go running back as well as Jarrett Patterson. At this point, we didn't draft him in the 5th or the 4th like I did before. Again, this is best player available. Jarrett Patterson, and I think the best move here with the departure of Sony Michel is to get another Sony Michel. Brian Robinson Jr., another rotational back, a guy who, again, if injuries strike, this is the perfect spot to be able to have somebody step up and step in and be able to perform at a very high level. What's weird is when you think about it, at the start of the year, it's like, damn, this running back class sucks, right? Like you look at next year's class and you have guys, I mean, think about it, right? You have Bijan Robinson, Tank Bigsby, Deuce Vaughn, like these guys who are elite talents at their position. It's like, wow, this class doesn't have much. Like, no, it doesn't have much at the top, but it's a deep class. So cheers to this class for actually providing some form of fun, because start of the year did not look great. So at this spot, we should probably even look for another linebacker. Oh, wait, I've actually seen Fatu Kosti out of Rutgers. Never going to draft him, but cheers to that guy. I know he's actually pretty talented. Bo Calvert represent Oaks Christian, unlike the rest of the guys at the top of the draft that do. But looking at the guys who are the best value, I'm not going to go Xavier Thomas. We have enough of those. I think going after another, like these guys who are unathletic safety corner hybrids seem to be like LA's type, right? So we're going to go Sevyn Banks here. A guy who I don't think that he's that terrible. I was a huge proponent of screw Sevyn Banks at the start of the year when he was in these first round mocks, but he just gets so much crap lately. It's not really right for the people to be going that much against him. He's still a 5-star type talent, and he still plays at a good enough level. He's just not the most athletic, and I thought he was much better as a safety corner hybrid before he just was thrusted as a pure safety. So at this point at 247, honestly, this is just take the best guy available. Like when you're at this point of the draft, you take the best guy, whether that's going to be Brock Purdy, who I think I have a 4th round grade on him. So honestly, you know what? I've never done this. While we're mid-draft, we're going to recheck. We're going to see what the quarterback situation's like. So you got Wolford going to be up for a contract, and then Bryce Perkins. We're going to get Brock Purdy. We're going to do it. Because I think a 7th round pick on a guy like Brock Purdy could certainly happen. I don't think he's going to be there, but I think his talent, like you see some of these things like layering. He has a 1 throw that he did, and it was just perfect layering over the linebacker before the safety. It's NFL level, but that's going to be the draft, guys. It was actually quite a few picks, more than I expected. We solidified our tackle and guard situation, both long and short term, respectively. We got an amazing corner too, right? We got an amazing understudy to Jalen Ramsey. It's going to be Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner all over again. Then we got Micah McFadden here to be a true linebacker help to us. Michael Clemens, who I think is criminally underrated. Same thing with Jarrett Patterson. Brian Robinson there to step in where need be. Sevyn Banks, guy who can be a rotational corner or depth safety. And Brock Purdy to replace John Wolford. Let me know what you guys think, Rams fans. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to see you guys on the far side. Peace.